Hi, it's Mr. Townsend here. Have you ever wondered where light comes from? Well, you might want to watch this video. In this video, I go through an explanation of where light comes from. We're going to look specifically at atoms and the transformations that happen within them that produce light. So, where does light come from? Well, we start with an atom. So here is a diagram of an atom. An atom, remember, consists of a nucleus in the middle and then orbitals around the atom. Electrons sit in orbitals around an atom. In this case, there is one electron in the closest orbital around the atom. This closest orbital is called a stable orbital. The further away orbital is called an excited orbital. Electrons would rather be in the closest orbital than a further away one. That's where they are the most stable. If we add energy to this atom, and remember we have about 8 different forms of energy, all the way from potential energies to active energies. Now the type of energy that usually is added to these atoms in order to make an atom able to emit light is in the form of heat energy, electrical energy, and chemical energy. So if we add energy to this electron, what we're essentially doing is we're shaking this electron. So we're shaking it really hard. We're giving it so much energy, it's vibrating so fast that this electron here gets bumped up into the orbital that's further away from the nucleus. So we get it into this model here. So we now have the electron in the further away orbital, and remember I called this an excited orbital. The electron's now in an excited state. It's now further away from the nucleus, and it leaves it in a specific, it's got a particular thing that can happen now. Because it is further away from the nucleus and it wants to be closer, what it can do is it can fall back down to the stable or the closest orbital. And when it falls back down, this is where the magic happens. An electron falling from an exciting orbital to a stable one will emit light. It will emit something called a photon of light. So as soon as that electron here jumps down to this orbital, it shoots off this wee ray of light, or this wee packet called a photon. So that is essentially where all light originates. And remember, it can originate from heat energy, chemical energy, or from electrical energy. All of those 3 types of energy can be used to excite the atom and to shake the electron to the outside, and so it will fall back down and give off some light energy. So how do we see, what types of things do we see in everyday life that give off light? Well, remembering we know that photons come off when we have excited electrons and exciting atoms, and they want to fall down to orbitals closer to the nucleus. And we had the 3 types of energy: heat energy, chemical energy, or electrical energy. What happens, the very first or simplest type of way that we produce light is we actually make the atoms very, very hot. And remember, we know from particle theory, if we make atoms hotter, they shake faster. When they shake faster, they agitate or they irritate the atom, and they make that electron go up to the higher orbital, so it will fall back down. Now, the sun, the surface of the sun, the whole corona of the sun, the outside of the sun, is essentially lots and lots of hydrogen atoms at 100,000 degrees Celsius. So they're shaking very, very fast. And what they do is they're constantly giving off bits of light. And this giving off light from heat energy, when heat energy is transformed into light energy, this is called incandescence. Okay, so something like a candle has incandescence. A fire has incandescence. We have heated up the gases that are coming off the fire there to a high temperature, and they start to emit light. They incandesce. So we can also produce light from different ways. We can produce light from chemical reactions. So these chemical reactions, we can take a chemical called luminol and react it inside a glass container like this. And the specific type of light that is emitted from chemical reactions is called chemiluminescence. So luminescence means it gives off light, chemo means it's from a chemical reaction. In nature, sometimes we have animals like that. We can see these jellyfish here that give off light in the dark. This is called bioluminescence. We have the glowworms that you can find in glowworm caves, or sometimes you can find them in the forest. They also have bioluminescence. They give off light. Now both chemoluminescence and bioluminescence come about from chemical changes that happen either within the container or within the biological organism. So that what's happening is the chemical potential energy is being turned into light energy. It's just in the same way. So the atoms within those objects or those living things, they are having their electrons excited, and when the electrons fall back down again, they shoot off some light. So the last way that we can produce light is we can put electrical energy through atoms. So we can excite these atoms by shooting electrical energy through them that excites their electrons into the outside orbitals, and then they fall back down into the lower orbitals and they release light energy. So when we see something like an LED or the screen on a computer or a TV or on an iPhone, that we know that what is happening there is we are getting electrical energy transformed into light energy, and we know that it's happening by the electrons in atoms being excited to higher orbitals and then falling down to lower orbitals. That's where light comes from. It comes from that phenomena, what happens inside atoms. And we can use our understanding of how atoms produce light to find out different ways to make light ourselves. Well, I hope this video has been helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.